Hey guys, the podcast will always be free. If you go into the description or the top comment, there's a locals, a Patreon, a buy me a coffee, a Cash App, a PayPal. Legitimately, $1 a month makes the world of a difference. And I know you're thinking, no, it doesn't. It literally does. It keeps the show going. It's why it's so free flowing and hectic and frankly unprofessional and vulgar, but it's the reason why it's free and why it's fun. Please, if you can, donate $1. Thank you. Recording on Sunday, January 18th, 2026 at 1:08 p.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Michael Ariza, who was on here last week, Mr. Tom Luongo, who's been on here a trillion times before. And as I told both of you guys, and I will now say again, Mike, we talked about oil last time. One of the first things Tom and I ever talked about was oil. And figured I'd put those two and two together. That's about as Tom knows, that's about the extent of the preparations I will do for a show. And I'm like, oil, all right, two things, and put it together, and hopefully something happens, and whatever. But Tom.
I also know that that's a lie because you just spent an hour and a half on my podcast telling me how well you prepare for all your guests in case your guest shows up and doesn't have anything to
Well,
say.
part of the thing is to play it cool, not like I listened to 8 hours of Kelly Johnson and then Ben Rich's book on Skunk Works. You gotta, half the reason you can play it cool, or half the reason it seems cool, is because you're playing it cool. No one knows that I fucking work nonstop. Way to make me look like a bitch, Tom. All right. I mean, all right, fuck it. We're getting into oil production, max oil, peak nuclear. Why are we moving to nuclear? Because it's an AI race. None of this shit really matters. It's us, Venezuela. We're taking shit. It's a game of geopolitics at the highest level because Tom's gonna make me look like a Boy Scout now. So fuck you. Um,
Yeah, my work here is done.
all right.
Like I can do this job from home and often do.
Fucking dickhead.
So
Well,
That's it. We're done. We're done. We're out
well,
here.
well, how about we just will.
Well, Mike, let's talk about what's going on. So I don't, I didn't have a chance.
I was gonna say, touch on what we talked about last week, Mike, about the things shutting down, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Well, in California, what's been going on is between the oil production and the refineries. Main thing is it's actually both. I collaborated with a USC professor, Miche, and an assemblyman from the southern part of the valley where oil's produced, Kern County, Stan Ellis. What they've been doing is shutting down the refineries. The environmental regulations, fines, and whatnot have been so egregious. The companies are losing so much money that they're leaving California. We've lost since 2023, we lost about 680,000 barrels a day of crude oil processing capacity. Marathon and Rodeo, those two refineries in the Bay Area, Northern California, shut down. On October 17th, Phillips 66 in Wilmington, Southern California, shut down. And now Valero, which is one of the ones I used to run that control board. I train people in the field and on the control board there. That's in California. It's a unique design refinery. It's the most efficient refinery by far in California. So it really caught my ear. Like, what the hell's going on with Valero? Valero's going down. What's going on? And I really hadn't focused in the industry so much, but then I started engaging. So bottom line is we are now so dependent as Valero right now is in the process of slowly shutting down. They've wrote off $1.1 billion in losses just to get out of the state, say we're done. We don't want to be here. Once they're down, we'll be dependent between 42 to 44% of our gasoline and 35 to 40% of our jet fuel is coming from overseas, from Singapore, India, and South Korea. And a lot of that's coming on Chinese Costco tankers and the Russian tankers. They're shipping it here. It's initially we wrote a brief that was published in Washington. The professor went to Washington D.C. About the military threat. Like Valero shutting down, for instance, Travis Air Force Base, one of the largest military airlift command bases in the world. All of their jet fuel comes from Valero, and they're shutting down. So that's kind of why I started to get into it. I see shortages coming. Me and Tommy talked about it last week. You got weather events. You got another refinery goes down, like El Segundo had a fire. The Iranians hijacked a fuels tanker in the Indian Ocean about a month and a half ago. Pipeline leak. There was a fire on a cargo ship at the port of Los Angeles. So if you take, it was the fire that it was a cargo ship. It was so bad they pulled it partially out to sea and got it away from the dock, so it wouldn't damage the dock there. Once that damaged, you can't offload a damn thing.
Right. Mike, all of that is exactly what I've been expecting from these people. They've been in insurrection mode for years. Gavin Newsom should be he should be removed from office and summarily shot on live television. We can't do that yet. We're not at that point. I mean, seriously, that's what we're supposed to do with traitors. Yeah. Tim Walz is about 2 weeks away from this. Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole point of destroying you touched on all of the stuff that I've been worried about when it comes to this in California, which is that the goal here is to destroy the military infrastructure. Those refineries are going to stay in place. They're not going anywhere. Right. They're just going to shut them down. And then that preps for the invasion of California, or for California to leave the United States, because it makes it impossible now to ship things cross country. Now the ports of Los Angeles shut down. Now that we've lost the west coast of the United States, like all of it, like that's what they're doing. They're setting up to take the west coast of the United States away from Washington. And I fully expect Trump to nationalize all of those within the next 30 to 60 days, like every one of those refineries.
Yeah, he's already started with crude oil production. We used to take crude oil from Harmony, Heritage, and Hondo. That's the oil platforms off the Outer Continental Shelf in Santa Barbara. We used to receive crude oil from them of Benicia. Well, they haven't since it had a leak in 2015. They've been taking the oil from there and shipping it to South Korea. Then they would refine it and send it back to us, right? Well, the feds finally, yeah, exactly. The feds, it's the Los Flores pipeline, and there's a little processing plant. Then it goes inland to Bakersfield. Well, Sean Duffy and the DOT, they just changed the classification of that pipeline from intrastate to interstate. And they told the state, you no longer have control of it. Sable Corporation that now owns it is going to be allowed to pump crude oil into California. Then this was really a big win after that was
I hate to interrupt you, Mike, but that's really important. You mentioned Sable. When did that happen? I do
just last month.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then the Ninth Circuit Court, you get your environmental nut jobs, the Coast Commission and all these other yahoos. They filed a complaint to try to stay that. And the Ninth Circuit Court, 2 judges from the Ninth Circuit Court voted in favor of Sable and the government, so they can start crude oil up. And now also Trump, he's filed a motion with the Justice Department. California created its own little rule where if you have a pump jack, you can't pump crude oil within like 3,200 feet, well over half a mile of a school or whatever other, So anyway, the feds are now. Bondi has filed a motion to have that thrown out, that on federal land, federal leases, that the federal government is in charge of it. So where we need now, and I coined a phrase sitting at my work on Thanksgiving Day, I had to work the holidays, is that we're at the point of no return. Where we run into with the refineries is once they shut down, people transfer to other facilities, Shell, like Shell or Valero or whoever. Qualified people retired that are my age, that hired on there when I did. You'll just say, okay, I'm ready to retire. I'm good. I'm 60. We'll call it a day. So what you end up doing very quickly is you lose the qualified personnel that can start the damn thing back up. Valero in particular, because in another refinery, every unit's an island. The cat cracker, the crude unit, the sulfur unit, the coker, they're all their own units with their own control rooms, with their own operators. At Valero, then this was a pioneer design when Exxon built it in 1969. This is new to the world. They basically, the crude oil comes in, goes through the crude unit, and then it goes to all the other units. There's no separate control rooms. So you got two guys running all of those units. And what you run into now with Valero that's uniquely complex is what I call it, is you start up all these units together. You don't do that in another refinery. So it makes it extremely difficult to find qualified personnel anywhere. that are available. You'll have some guys that'll have 30 years. I could fly in J when I was in Bakersfield down there. Shell was forced to, basically had their arm twisted off to sell it instead of shut it down, because ironically back then not Feinstein, Boxer and Lockyer realized even losing that refinery would impact California.
Right.
So they did that. They brought in some guys from like Exxon that had 30, 35 years experience, but they had it on one unit. So what makes Valero unique is you got to start up all these units at the same time. So it's finding people to start it back up. That's why I don't totally understand why they're not jumping on this. We can have crude oil production, that's fine, but we have to have the refineries. They have to stay on.
Absolutely, we absolutely have to have the refinery capacity, and they have so much on their plate. I'm not going to make any excuses for them. This is a very, very, very big issue, and for all the things you just laid out and more, and it has to come. It's like, again, like they need to nationalize these refineries immediately.
Yeah,
They cannot wait now. This is not about constitutionality. This is not about the optics, this, that, and everything else. This is you just go to the American people. Trump needs to just literally tomorrow, get on a fireside chat tomorrow and say, look, this is unacceptable. I don't care. We're buying these things. We're nationalizing these things and we're keeping them open. Valero, you're not taking, we'll pay you the write down. The $1.1 billion is a rounding error to the the American government at this point. No. You get that thing up and running and keep those men on the line, and you get the next generation of them trained. And if we need to, we'll put the National Guard on the goddamn fence lines and tell Gruesome to go fuck himself, because this shit needs to end now, because we are now. If you watch what's happening in Minnesota right now, we are in a state of civil war. Period. There is no argument about it. Period. And everything that Gruesome is doing out in California is exactly part of the exact same strategy. And they've been going after every one of the waterways, accesses to the United States. It's why Trump is in the Gulf of America, fixing fucking Venezuela, because he knows damn well that when all of this is finished and all of this is said and done, the only waterways he's going to have is the Mississippi Delta and Florida. And because the fucking British are clearly, and the Europeans are clearly attempting to cleave off Canada and the West Coast from Seattle on down. And this shit's got to end right now. And the Chinese need to be backed off. Period.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I totally agree with Tom. That's spot on. Trump has the Defense Protection Act, the National Emergencies Act. He has the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. The California Resource Board, CEC, they need to be backed away permanently. You are no longer in control. Federal EPA has this. You're done. They shit this fine on Valero of $82 million for a unit that makes hydrogen and carbon dioxide. So I told Tommy last time, so you check it out. So the Air District says, well, they're generating carcinogens and reproductive harm agents and all this, right? Well, and they said it's been for the last 20 years. And I said, no, it's been since 1969, 56 years. All these refineries have this type of unit. And if you look at the city of Benicia, the industrial park on the other side of the refinery, and the refinery itself, where people like my father worked for 34 years, there have been no elevated cases of carcinogens, cancer, reproductive harm problems, because if there had been, these assholes would have, they'd be shoving it in our ear until we can't stand to hear it anymore. So it's totally nothing. And then the mayor, this is where they really shot themselves in the foot in Benicia, because Exxon, when they owned it, and Valero, they always took care of Benicia. The Benicia firefighters would go with them to Texas A&M or go to, back in the day, to the Reno Fire School. They bought them, some of the best equipment. That they took care of the schools. They were really always a partner with the community. Well, now they got this fine, and you love this. The Air District changed the way that the fine was distributed. So the offended or hurt or whatever the hell you want to call it community basically gets like half the fine. Well, half the fine in the city of Benicia, and the mayor's on the air board. So Benicia, it's like, really? And it's, it's like, okay, well, you get this money, fine. You enjoy it because you're, your biggest industry there that's taking care of you for so long, they're gone. And nobody's going to buy that damn refinery. Nobody's going to buy it. It's just going to shut down. So the city really shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, no, this is clearly an operation. This is clearly a very, very important part of the strategy to send the United States into civil war. I've been watching this. All the blue state governors are on message about everything, about the same things. Every time Trump tries to,
walking in unison. Yeah,
they always walk in unison. So now, the biggest tell was when Kennedy rolled out the new vaccine requirements and the new healthcare, and they're like, "Oh, we're creating a regional, network of states for healthcare mandates," and like, "Oh, really? You're going to play that game? Oh, okay, that's nice." Like, all of a sudden, these people like discover states' rights for the first time in 160 years. Okay,
yep,
but that's really cute and all, but no, and so. The interesting part about it is going to be watching how he handles Minnesota, because clearly Waltz and Jacob Fry are walking up the escalatory ladder in Minnesota to the point where Waltz will have one of two options. He will either try to use the National Guard that is under his control to stop ICE, at which point he will be summarily executed on live TV for being a traitor. And I'm not kidding. That's not hyperbole. That's what you do. If he uses the National Guard to stop ICE from executing a lawful order in a lawful federal
lawful
law,
order, yes.
then what happens?
Yep.
Donald Trump turns right around and says, "Okay, I control the Minnesota National Guard." We immediately take them. He's removing the chain of command because you are a traitor to the country. Done. And then 5 guys walk in and either arrest him or shoot him in the head if he, that's what's going to happen. Like, so I don't know how committed, Tampon Timmy is to the cause, but that's what we're dealing with here. Same thing with that old faggot, Jacob Fry, that old commie bastard. And the same thing. And Gavin Newsom tried this shit last year with the LA riots. And what did Trump do? The first thing he did was, the LA riots started. They picked up they started their rent a beaner mob over a laundromat, literally laundering money for the cartels. And then within 36 hours, he nationalizes the state guard and sends in the Marines 4 days later to stabilize the entire situation.
To stabilize the situation,
But what he was doing was he was test running the Democrats and Davos. Because you'll notice that none of them filed lawsuits against those actions. Oh, they pissed, whined, bitched, and moaned, but nobody tried to use the judiciary to stop it, to send it to the Supreme Court to find out whether or not Donald Trump had the authority to do so. Why? Because there is no question that he had the authority to do so.
Right.
None.
Agreed.
Zero. And because it's well established within American case law, no way that thing would have gone beyond, the local traffic court judge in the Ninth Circuit trying to file an injunction against Donald Trump for what? Like, I mean, even Gavin Newsom was like, "He can't do this. He shouldn't do this." Well, you shouldn't do it, but you shouldn't have, whipped up a rent the beaner mob over Tom Homan going in and serving a couple of warrants to pull some people out, and then tried to turn it into a race war. Like,
to me here in California, Gavin Newsom, like money wise, he makes Tim Waltz look like Slim Pickens. You go back to the immigration, paying for all their medical, the high speed rail to nowhere, billions of dollars into that. What he did with the Palisades, the harm, the homeless, that money, the harm that man has caused in this state, the amount of death he has caused in this state. And the thing with this refinery issue right now is you look at the military. First of all, you go to the civilian side of it. Phoenix gets their fuel from us. There's a pipeline to El Paso from El Paso into Tucson, but Phoenix is totally dependent on us. Their air base, Marine Corps Air Station, they're dependent on us.
Okay, so now we're talking about U.S. Now we're talking about the U.S. Mexican Arizona border. We're talking about all that money.
Yeah, Yuma.
You're talking about all the chip plants outside of Phoenix that are being built. Yeah, so hot, dry Taiwan. No, you don't get any. You're not going to get any fuel. Are you kidding me? Like,
Oh,
really?
there.
Yeah. Seriously, this
Yeah.
is all going. This is all going to end very, very quickly because it has to. So, one of the reads that I've had on all of this is that I think that Trump has been purposefully pushing the pace because they were trying to do the slow burn thing on this and just kind of, we're going to do this slowly. We're going to continue to grift and we're going to continue the money and everything else. And he's like, nope, going in quality, send, since the first of the year is like, send Nick Shirley in, blow up everything in Minnesota, force them onto the ground because you can't fight an army that refuses to put its army on the battlefield. Right. You start thinking about this in war planning. Tommy and I have talked about this multiple times when we've been on with like E.M. Burlingame and all these other guys. So let's talk about it in the context of these refineries. It's the same thing. Gruesome and company have all been trying to play this game where they're going to shut down our production of refined fuels in order to finish the war on transportation that they started 60 years ago.
Right.
In order to kick off the Civil War at their leisure. They were planning on doing this after the midterms. They were going to bleed Trump out and he was going to dither and all of this stuff. And he's like, no, fuck you. Boom. I'm taking that out, taking out Maduro and Venezuela. We're going to deal with the Iranians. We're taking Greenland. Oh, by the way, Mark Carney, you're next.
Yeah, and he needs he really needs to intervene on this now because you got Phoenix, you got the Human Marine Corps, you got Reno. These guys will say, well, they get 80% or 88%. The hell with that. Okay, bottom line is Reno and Vegas don't get fuel. Okay,
right.
Period.
Right.
And Ellis Air Force Base, all those different bases there. Mm-hmm. You got the Pacific Fleet headquarters in San Diego. You got Travis, Edwards, Point Loma, Coronado. Mm-hmm. You got all these different bases. Now, that originally wasn't why I got into this. When I started initially when I heard Valero shut down, and I drafted a brief, and I went down to Sacramento because I wasn't getting any traction. I'm just Joe, farmer. Chico State worker, so I went down there and that's when I ran into Assemblyman Ellis. And then we had a meeting with Professor Miche and drafted 3.5 months ago now, a 10-page brief that was published in Washington. And the biggest aspect of it was the military side of it. And this is the thing people don't get because it's coming, up in Chico, you get ready. We're on the end of the damn pipeline, but we are going to see prices, they're going to be $8.50 a gallon. Okay. That's that's what's coming with the shortages. Once the refinery goes, Valero finishes, PBF goes into turnaround. We go into this stupid summer blend of gasoline, California screwed. But the biggest issue is any number of events. And there's like 6 of these events have occurred in the last 2.5 months. Mm-hmm. Again, the fire at El Segundo, the fire on the freighter, all that stuff. We are on a teetering edge of like 13 or 14 days supply, still burning 36 to 38 million gallons of gasoline a day. Our actual jet fuel, even the CEC predicts jet fuel is going to go up like 20% in the next 10 years consumption. We're going to have shortages. We're going to have shortages across the state, Arizona, Nevada, and people are not going to know what the hell to do. You're going to see the biggest level of civil unrest. It's going to, to me, I see the possibility that it'll make Minnesota look like a cakewalk. San Francisco metropolitan area, Sacramento, LA, and you start running into shortages, and I could see these younger, kids and that. Oh, they're on gas, buddy. Oh, well, they got gas over here. They go over there. They're out. We saw what happened.
No, I know, and it's being designed from the ground up. And Gavin Newsom thinks he's going to run for president on this.
Yeah,
because he's clearly setting up for running for president in 2028. They clearly have this idea that they can. I don't even think I be honest with you, everybody's talking about are we going to win or lose the midterms, and I'm like, I don't know if there's even going to be midterms. I mean, when you start really thinking about, and that's out there. I haven't considered that concept idea until the last 48 hours as I'm watching things play out in Minnesota, the way it dovetails to the histrionics in Greenland, the way these people have lost their freaking ever-loving fucking minds over 57,000 people on a NATO land that somehow has to be, it's inviolate Danish territory.
What?
What the fuck are you talking about? Seriously.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah.
No, at every level, I'm like, oh no, they want this. They're pushing this. They're trying to play this game of we're going to isolate the United States from who? Really? Like, and I can see it already. I can see it already like forming in the Twitter space and all the geopolitics guys talking about how the Chinese will then cut deals with. Luke Roman was out there this morning, like, oh, the China will just cut a deal with the EU. I'm like,
Yeah.
you forget there's like three words that they should, the two words you should always remember whenever dealing with China and Europe. It's called the opium wars. They have a long memory, just like we have. Just like no. If you don't understand what happened in Venezuela, the Chinese were bought off, and they were okay with that, and they left. Like, are you kidding? Like, what is wrong with? So it's clear that what we have here is a massive psychological operation being run to try and keep normies in the position of saying, "Oh my God, Donald Trump is an idiot." Like, no.
No, far from it.
We're dealing with literal fucking traitors at this point.
Yes.
For the last 3 months, my Dexter White and I over, at Gold Ghost and Guns, we've been sitting here chatting about this going, I don't see how we're not at war with Canada within a year. Like, I don't see how we do it. And I'm like, well, Trump's moving on Greenland to shut off flow of men, material, guns, terrorists, that they're importing millions of these assholes in from, they're inviting the world through Europe, and then they want to bring them across. Greenland is the thing that stops just all those maritime sea routes.
It's the hub.
It's like Venezuela was the hub for distribution into the southern portion of the United States. We have to deal with the West Coast, which we can't deal with if all the freaking refineries are shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, and since the 80s. I was looking at like I said, when I started really digging into this and working with Stan and the professors, they've shut down about 680,000 barrels a day of production from the 80s up till 2023. Then you got two of the refineries converted over to their renewable diesel, right? So took another 370,000 barrels a day offline. So from those refineries, no propane, no gasoline, no jet fuel. And here's the kicker. So Rodeo, that's a refinery close to San Francisco. They're on target on their renewable diesel, 45 to 50,000 barrels a day. And they're losing somewhere around $100 million a quarter on that, and the CEO is like, this is unacceptable and it's unsustainable. Same thing with Valero. And then now even Chevron, and it's like I was explaining, I said, the professor's a big economics guy. He's been studying this industry since 1973, but it doesn't take a lot of common sense to figure out why is Chevron still there, even though they're taking big losses. And there was a big difference. When Exxon owned the refinery I ran, they owned their crude oil. They sold their crude oil to their refinery.
Right.
So they were making a lot of money. If the margins in the refinery, they were taking a loss, then, they'd write that off or do whatever they do, with taxes and stuff like that. And then Chevron owns crude oil. Both refineries, they own crude oil. That's one of the reasons I think, my humble opinion, that they haven't left California, even though they've taken some big losses. But, you've down the crude oil since mid 80s. The crude oil capacity in California is down 52%. Just in the last, since 2023, crude oil processing has dropped off 35%, with Valero being the last of that 35% that's offline. So, yeah, it's absolutely insane. We absolutely have to, absolutely. And that's what I was telling a couple of buddies at the campus. I said, one thing is Trump is bold. He made the move in Venezuela. He took out the Iran nuclear sites. He didn't bullshit around. I don't know if he's going to be so, worried about political whatever with this, but it needs to get done. They're doing it with the oil now, but the refineries, he's got to intervene to save the damn refineries.
I completely agree with you, but he's got to figure out how to turn that into a real. He's got to turn. This is Donald Trump. He has to think media first, because this is the way he's built. He's not built. He's strategic, right? but he's also thinking about the calculus of how to sell this, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get through to the point where you can put down the insurrection in Minnesota and then use that as a model for how he's going to deal with Illinois, New York, California, Oregon, blah, blah, blah. But you have to prove it out first. So he's actually doing in Minnesota. I was thinking about this morning. I just, before we popped on, I was doing my twice weekly private podcast I do for my patrons. And I said, it's all connected. What you're watching in Minnesota is connected to Greenland, which is connected to the bond markets, it's connected to all this stuff, which is, what I do. And I said, here's the thing. Minnesota is no different than Venezuela. He's going to do a regime change operation in Minnesota without damaging the existing institutional infrastructure in Minnesota in order to get it back under control as quickly as possible.
Right.
So that means you have to take out Tim Walz. You have to take out Jacob Fry. You have to take out those guys. And at the same time, what did we find out last night? That after Fry turns to the Minneapolis, turns around and says, I've instructed my police department to say no to the ICE agents. Everybody saw the video of the guy. Check out the guy's face while he was saying that, the cop. And he went,
yeah.
Okay, that guy
like, what are you
is one
about?
of that guy is a metaphor. Because when I heard last night is that after that order was issued, DHS turned around and said, "Oh, by the way, Minneapolis police department guys, cops, if you guys are not happy with this order, we will hire you on the spot for ICE immediately." And over 24 of them have already jumped ship. Now, those guys are the best assets that ICE has.
They're the Patriots. Yeah.
No. They're the cops on the ground. These are the beat cops.
Yes.
They know the city.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm thinking like a cop's son because my dad was NYPD. Now I'm thinking like a cop's son. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, we know where these people are. The more of those guys that come over, the quicker this thing gets cleaned up, and the quicker the rest of the fraud that. We have the rest of the infrastructure working where, at the Department of Justice and FinCEN, freaking Besson is crushing it, mapping all the money. And he's already said it. He said it yesterday or the other day. He probably said it this morning on the Sunday talk shows are going to be did it, which is, if you think Minnesota's bad, California is 100 times worse just on scale.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And that's why he turned around and said, "Oh, and by the way, the IRS is now being repurposed to go after all the fraud, which means that they're not sending those auditors out to audit the middle class like Obama and Biden and everybody else did. Like the IRS is being this is the best part about this strategy, which is that these institutions that have been permanently damaged as institutions, the Fed, the IRS, DHS." Right, all of these things where they were used, they were used as a means by which to tyrannize and destroy the middle class in America under Obama and Biden, and even under Bush and the Clintons. Those organizations can now be utilized by the Trump administration in the exact opposite manner
to do what the hell they're supposed to
to actually save the country, and use because they've been given all these sweeping powers. It's all been held up in court. They've been given all these, and this is the funny part about live by the sword, die by the sword, right? This is what Davos and the British did in passing all this shit through, putting all these terrible people in charge and targeting all of these particular places, putting people like Gruesome and Pelosi and all these horrible people in place, and then they write and pass even worse legislation and rules, agency rules. On the backside of it, that same power that you gave them can be used to dismantle what was built over decades in a year, if it's done properly. And that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so while the arrests are not necessarily going to happen up front, what is happening is the mapping, the enforcement, and the cleanup, and saying, okay, that's it. No more money.
Yeah, that's right? A big one.
You take out the money, you stop the bleeding. This is triage. We're in the triage moment. And now the other thing is we also have to consider that we've already lost the country because these people already destroyed it. Now we have to get it back. And once you reframe into that mindset, now no one should have any problem getting squishy over President Trump saying, you know what? Nope, fuck you. Nationalizing all the refineries, every one of them in the name of national security. This meets the emergency list. 52%
meets the criteria.
This meets the criteria. We've lost 52% of our refining capacity in California alone. We can't get jet fuel and he can fucking lie through his teeth about whether or not we have enough in storage, whatever. I don't care. Fuck it. It doesn't matter.
No, he's such a liar about all that crap. None of it is right. I mean, that guy's opening his mouth. He's lying. The whole thing is right now you can't get. That's another thing too. You can't get a lot of information on the docks and how much they're offloading. It's just, go figure. But best guess is that right now they're maxed. The amount of tankers, and it's like, where do you get more tankers from? It's another 4.5 million gallons a day going down with Valero. Another 10 to 12% of our fuel consumption gone. And right now, the tankers coming in from other countries, Singapore, South Korea, and India. Right now, those tankers, it's pretty much maxed out, and the infrastructure, it's maxed out. Sure. As far as what they can take in and what they can offload. Now you're going to lose another 4.5 million gallons, another 700,000 gallons a day of jet fuel, diesel, and a big thing. This is a kind of a side issue when you're in cold areas, because we have them, especially in Northern California, is propane. Refineries make 150 to 200,000 gallons a day of propane through their refining process. Once they're down, that's gone. That's not even being factored into any of these calculations. And all that does is it hurts the average citizen who at least can afford it. Losing all
it's even worse than that. It hits the agricultural industry. It hits everything. Like,
big time.
You can't hit. I mean, come on. You can't do any of this stuff without propane. So they know exactly what they're doing. Mm-hmm. This is not, we're just trying to save the spotted owl. Fuck you. No, this is about destroying the country. This is no different than them arguing for climate change and the same way that they were arguing to protect everybody by shutting down the economy during COVID.
Right.
Like, you don't shut an economy down to protect the vulnerable and then take away the ability of the society to produce the things necessary to protect the vulnerable.
To protect the vulnerable.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Exactly.
And everybody lost their friggin' minds because, oh my God, I'm type 2 diabetic. Well, then stay the fuck home. But the rest of us need to go to work.
Right.
Like, this is not the way this works. This is civilization.
It doesn't make sense because that doesn't help protect the people. If you change your frame and go, what if I wanted to disable the country from within? You go, that's a great idea.
Oh, that's a great idea. So why consider? Yeah, exactly.
Are we trying to protect the spotted owl? That's retarded. What if you wanted to weaken the United States because we're on a precipice of a rearranging of the global chessboard? You go, I would make them lose $100 billion a quarter. There you go.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Like, and this is why. Yeah, and I think Mike, your point about why Chevron is staying in the fight in California is a good one. It's something I wouldn't know because I don't study this stuff on a regular basis. But it's great that you understand that. I really appreciate that insight. That once they started slicing and dicing up through regulation, the supply chain for the oil and the fuel and everything else, and and they have no way to account for it, right? They can't do the corporate accounting necessary to just, wash it all out and ride out the lean times. Yeah. So that was, and don't think for a second as I was listening to you talk, I'm like, right. And they of course wanted to do it this way in order to, knowing full well that the long-term goal would then be to get it to the point where now we need to shut it down. Now we'll just keep adding another layer of loss and loss and loss, and eventually they hit their pain point and they're gone.
Yeah, cause it to collapse. And then then you're in a situation too where you get into a situation in the world. I mean, like out of Taiwan, so Hey, China, please keep sending us this jet fuel while we're defending Taiwan against you.
Yeah.
Of course not. Yeah. And then, I mean, it's silly. And oh, by the way, I don't even want to talk about the fact that we're getting our West Coast fuel from three of the biggest British assets in the South, India, Singapore, and South Korea.
Yeah, and then
none of these people are our fucking allies, by the way.
No, matter of fact, India, the irony is that India is making our fuel. They're buying 40% of their crude oil is Russian.
Right. They're buying the Russian
California's fuel. Policies. Yeah. California's policies are buying fuel from them, and that money is going to buy Russian oil, which is going to support Putin in his war against Ukraine.
Well, that's fine. I mean, which is actually a good thing because, Putin needs to wipe out the globalists in Ukraine and, and take out those devil's legions because those people are that whole fucking thing needs to end tomorrow. It's not about that. It's about it's about the fact that it ties Trump's hands that he can't actually even properly. India is making a fucking fortune doing this.
Oh, they all are.
They're then turning around and then trying to become the global price setter for silver in order to bail out fucking City of London and the precious metals markets, which Trump and Xi are both like trying to destroy them both on. And Gavin Newsom is sitting here using oil as the linchpin to undermine all of that. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, no, nationalize all of this shit tomorrow. This is not about my libertarian fifis. This is not about free market. These are not free markets. If these were free markets, the most efficient refinery in California wouldn't be losing money.
Correct. Yep. And they did. And before they did.
I got to pull Tommy and go pee. I'll be back. You guys talk.
Yeah, you're good. No, Mike, I was going to say, you should bring it up when he gets back, is those professors, how their conclusion leads to this needs to be federalized or the feds need to get involved.
Yeah.
Because that is.
This is fun, Tommy.
Yeah, this is
fun.
That's why I do the podcast. Yeah, no, you and I last week, that was tame. This is about how it normally goes. Just
I like Tom. I like Tom.
Tom's fucking awesome. Yeah, no, it's and I was gonna say it. I'll bring it up when he gets back, but it's not a free market. It's not ideally that. Yeah, sure, that is a goal to strive for, but you have to. I saw a meme the other day and it said, "I've lived in a police state my whole life. Now it's just a police state in my favor." And it's the people freaking out about ICE, and they're going, "Dude, they've been with vaccine mandates, they're shoving this shit down their throat." It's not that there is no police state. It's not that the argument is whether or not we should have one. There was one that was getting on moms going home school meetings versus this one's kicking out Somalis who are leeching off the tax dollar. It's like we have it nonetheless. I want it in my favor, which is a totally irrational thing in self-preservation. That's kind of how I'm looking at what Tom was just saying about free market. It's like, this isn't a free market. If it was a free market, they'd be making money hand over fist in California.
Big time.
But they're not. So that's not an argument of, well, it should be this. No. We already have an unfree market. We have the government getting involved. Therefore, on the flowchart of that, if we're going to have the government involved, I'm going to have it be in a way that benefits me instead of damaging the U.S. It's not a free market. So it's either California government gets involved and it fucks against me, or Trump gets involved and it fucks for me.
And
we've lost the argument about it being free.
And unfucks it. There's a difference.
That's what I mean. It's like, but the idea that it's not free, it's like, I don't want military occupation. It's like, well, it's World War II. It's this army is occupying you or this one's occupying you. Which one do you want? That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really funny. Like I've invoked this multiple times, and I will continue to do so. You want to understand how you save a country that's at this level of betrayal from within, and you go right back and you look at Russia in the 2000s.
Well, that's where we are.
That's where we are, and that's what Putin did. The first thing he did was he, basically, sat all the oligarchs down, read them the riot act, read them the rules, and anybody who got out of line, sorry, and nationalized Yukos as needed to, got the countries, got the transport system running, utilize their best asset, which is their access to, pulling cheap oil out of the ground and selling it, and use that to begin rebuilding not just the country, but the military end of this and everything else, and all the state institutions. So it needed to be done. And we have the same problem. And we have exactly the same problem. And Trump can use this crisis period as a means by which to reorient our relationship with our institutions that have absolutely betrayed us all.
Yes.
And it's now time to start the process. And so, yes, you're going to have moments. This is exactly what Lincoln had to do when, we were dealing with the exact same thing from the fucking British in the run up to the Civil War. It's no different. And the Civil War wasn't a civil war. It was a color revolution. That's what this is. It's not a civil war.
Yeah,
they're not fighting for control over Washington. They're fighting to break apart. This isn't
an organic friction.
No, this is completely synthetic. Every fucking bit of it, all the way down to the fake goddamn diesel fuel that we make out of goddamn corn. Fuck that. And all that shit's terrible. Every goddamn bit of it. I've been screaming about this for years. And the fact that gasoline in California is, I'm paying $2.30 a gallon up here in Tennessee. We're paying $2.60 a gallon down in Florida. Even in shitty parts of Florida where the transportation network means that in Gainesville, gasoline is 10 to 15 cents a gallon higher than it is in the rest of the state, simply because we don't bring gasoline in via I-75. We just don't. We bring it down I-95 because that's where the fucking refineries are. So we've got to travel across the state and everything else. And even then, we're only paying $2.69 a gallon.
Yeah, no, it's
you guys are paying $6.
It's down south. Down south, they are up north. Up north, it's actually a little low right now, and people are into this false sense of security right now. They have no idea because the biggest reason why we're paying, relatively low, in Oklahoma or Broken Arrow, where my family's from, they're at $1.95. Right. But here, it's all due to Trump's economics on drill, baby, drill. 25% reduction in crude oil prices, and California sees that too. And then we're in our winter blend right now, which increases the volume of gasoline produced. But once we go into that summer blend, Valero finishes going down. And at that point, we're totally taxed on our ability to get product here from overseas. We're there. It's like, where do you get any more tankers? They're not there. The infrastructure offloaded. It's not there. And then you get into even 2 refineries are going into shutdown turnaround first quarter, second quarter. This is just like the calm before the storm right now in California. And 99% of this population has I'm talking good conservatives like, folks like us, they have no idea what's looming down the horizon here. And it's going to hit. It's going to hit hard. Unless some action, the only thing that's going to keep Valero in this state is for Trump to intervene. That is the only thing. They are hell bent on getting the hell out of here. The Valero stock went up when they announced they were leaving California. Their stock actually went up, and then they put out a press release about their status, and they said, "Well, we're going to keep Wilmington open." Well, apparently, they've already wrote off all of Wilmington too, so it's a matter of they're going to keep it open. Well, for how long? Right now, they're just saying they're going to keep it open because they don't want to deal with California and their bullshit. It's like, oh, you're going to shut that down too. What the the whole routine. And
then everybody gets angry at the company, not the state. Like, which is the goddamn capitalism and that. You can just write the freaking script. You can write the script that every fucking stupid purple hair that and dude, I'm seeing it all over like my YouTube feed. Like, I'm one of the few people on the planet that still uses YouTube. It is the way Google wants me to, because I want to see what ads they're pushing at me.
Yeah,
I do it on purpose. So the other day, I'm starting to see. Forget the fact that every third ad is one for Tai Chi, right? Because I'm 58 years old. So they're like, let's push this on. That's fine. I'm okay with that actually.
Non-stop Advil ads.
Yeah, not nonstop. Let's rebuild your joints and get you healthy. Okay. Fine, fair enough. Okay, so the AI must obviously take one look at me and go, "Yep, he's unhealthy. Let's healthy again." But that's every third ad. Every other ad I get is some vaguely attractive chick talking about how capitalism is destructive. I'm like, really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and this is on gun videos. I'm like watching shit on, whether or not I should buy a 5.7 by 28 pistol, or what new pistol caliber carbines are coming out of SHOT Show this year. Like that's what I'm watching on YouTube at this point. Like, wonder where my fucking head is at, and they're telling me that they're trying to propagandize me that fucking capitalism doesn't work, and it just makes things expensive. I'm like I know, and then they always and they always have to sell this with some, like I said, some six who like it's just ridiculous. She's a 6'10" on the hot crazy scale. So I'm saying that's everywhere right now. So someone's paying a lot of money for that, to gaslight people into believing the shit. So the kids are they know full well that that's the main mechanism by which the younger generations get their information from.
Their information, sure.
They don't, I'll be honest with you. A lot of Zoomers are like, fuck Twitter, it's a cesspit, and they won't go there. So they're all on private Discord servers, and they're watching and they're sharing YouTube videos, and so that's where the money is going to be spent to gaslight them into telling them, oh, this is capitalism, dude. Like, no, it really isn't. Valero is actually losing money. Maybe you should take a lot
of money, not just
a lot of
money,
and maybe you should look at what the regulatory costs are.
Yeah,
maybe you should stop. But
well, you
want to be stupid, that's fine. But how about you take a corporate accounting class?
And some of that crap goes back to the big picture, like on the emissions and all this bullshit. We want to talk about the tankers coming here and the other refineries and how they pollute. Compared to what we do in our refineries that are top notch, that whole situation it's just completely, it's so hypocritical. Mm-hmm. It's like California's got like air over California, and that's it. That's not the case, guys. You're doing all this. You're polluting like hell, left and right. The bottom line is the economics of it. What it's going to do to us, what it's going to do to cause civil unrest and everything else, like we've already talked about. And I agree with you. I think that's a big part of their damn plan.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of nationalizing, I do think that in general, it's I think the overtone is not the right word, but I think the acceptance for it is probably pretty large. When you see it, the general response to like kidnapping Maduro or taking oil tankers, no one's even trying to do gymnastics now. They're just like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. Take care of the country. I just that seems to be the people that don't like Trump are never gonna like him. He's always gonna be Hitler. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that do like him, that 10 years ago would have said that's too far or this is too far. They just don't care. They're just I don't give a shit.
Well, a lot of them are starting. I think, Tommy, a lot of them are starting to see too what it's doing for us, what it's actually doing.
Well, that's the other thing.
What it did for the Venezuelan people.
Well, how about fentanyl? Not even that. Sure, that's all well and good, but how about fentanyl deaths down? That's a
way
real,
down.
That's
way
not
down.
That's not a fun little meme. Those are people who aren't finding their son with blue lips face down in the kitchen. Those are very real things, and everyone knows somebody that's overdosed or died or whatever. That's where I think this is moving in general. Just don't.
Well, not finding the lake in Riley's off in her own college where their head crushed in, or a little 12-year-old Jocelyn, beat up, raped, and thrown in a river to die. Not finding that anywhere near. Yeah,
that's my point.
And people with half a brain are seeing that. They're understanding that. They're understanding that is exactly what Trump is doing. And not
only that, it's the inverse too. It's when they see how rapidly these people are fighting against ICE in the very place where it was just shown that they are defrauding the people out of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you start, it's so comically over the edge. It's not just like, we're against ICE because my grandparents are immigrants. And it's like, yeah, that's not really relatable, but maybe I could see where you cross the line. This is temporally and geographically extremely related. It's here it is in this city. Here's the fraud. And less than 2 weeks later, they're out. We got to fight it to the end of the earth. And it's like, dude, where was 1% of this care about the border, printing money, sending weapons abroad? Like, none of it.
Right.
It really is the meme, but God forbid someone with a 50 IQ wants to take $10 billion from you. I will die on this hill. it's at a point now where people are like, what? Like,
What are you
the veil has been removed from the eyes.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, and that's what I mean by Trump is purposefully pushing the pace to put that in their face.
Yeah.
Like the tell for me that Minnesota was clearly in their sights was right after Nick Shirley's viral video, Quality Learning Center, and all that hit. Right, Kash Patel comes out and says, and puts out a tweet and says, "Oh, by the way, we've been in Minnesota since July tracking all this shit. We know all of it. We have it all. We've had guys on the ground since July working on Minneapolis."
Makes it seem like Shirley's an op.
Oh no.
And I'm not against it.
No. Ensuring that everybody understands that information was given to Nick Shirley.
Yeah.
Because what was happening, because Patel puts that tweet out right after the talking points started going out on Twitter. How did this 23-year-old kid figure it out and everybody else missed it? You think maybe because Kash Patel just told you that he gave the information to the kid, or probably some security that's just off camera.
Yeah, and good for I'm not even against it. Good for him.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is this whole thing is?
I'm waiting for them to contact me. Give me some fucking juice.
The Davos and the Democrats and the British and all these fucking people, they stage this shit all day long. They spend billions of dollars creating rent the beaner mobs in LA and rent the loser mobs at the G7 and all the rest of this crap. They do this all day, every day, and now they're into rent the lesbian mob. And like in Minnesota, like, because and so they do that, and we're not supposed to fight with the same. We don't even have to spend. This is the funny part about it. They have to spend billions of dollars to create this reality. Lies are expensive and the truth sells itself. I've been saying this for how long, Tommy?
Amen.
And in this case, they have to spend billions of dollars to create a rent the beaner mob in LA, or rent the rug muncher mob in fucking Minneapolis, and all they got to do is hand a couple of documents to Nick Shirley, show the fuck up with a GoPro and
how hard is it to how hard is it to build a fire with waterlogged wood versus how easy is it to throw a spark into something? It is natural. It requires, that is a government op. If the government op consists of going, hey, go knock on this door.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
And then show it all. Oh, yeah, we're the bad guys.
Hey, man, I don't know if that's a psychological operation so much as it's just evident truth.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
Yeah,
we get to play that game as well as everybody else does, and they don't like it when we fight we fight using their rules. You guys set the rules up now, so I guess this is the rules based order, right?
Yeah, exactly. Using it against you.
I'm seriously. This is the way we have to act. And so to me, I watch that. I'm like, obviously Trump is pushing this. Meaning, once he starts the operation. The ICE operation in Minnesota and explains to everybody just how big the friggin' fraud is, they have to go to AIDA. They have to turn this into some insane thing. And then in order to create the conditions for what happened to Renee Good. And then they could rally around that and try and turn her into George Floyd.
And
now they're to the point where now they're activating these kids and these and their operatives, that are they've got AR pattern rifles. They're running around cornering people and shaking them down and saying, take off your America First sweater or your hoodie, or we're going to kill you. They've cultivated a lot of these insane radicals, and they're now unleashing them. They've been there for years, and a lot of these kids are not $20 an hour paid operatives. They really believe this shit. They're in the mindset.
Yeah,
they're in that revolutionary mindset.
Yeah.
Fucking dyed in the wool, fucking Trotskyites, wearing their friggin' Che Guevara hats and all of it, right? The Che beanies and doing the thing. And they're going to find out just how quickly that's not going to turn, and so it's going to be bad for them, and it's going to be ugly. And what Greenland is about is making sure that these kids don't have the lieutenants and the veterans from the global war on terror, or from the terror networks that we trained or that were trained in places like Syria and Afghanistan and Venezuela and Colombia and everywhere else. That's what was being funneled. That's what's been what was on a lot of these ships that Trump blew up, that Trump interdicted on, and everything else. That's why he wants Greenland. That's why he's like making the
movement.
Right.
Yeah. This is what EM and I have to agree with him completely.
Yeah. Movement of human leadership. Yeah. It's
because that was the next phase.
Yeah. And also another guy I've had on a lot. I've known him since 2020, Mike Shelby, former intelligence guy, I think similar to EM, I think targeting. His whole thing is, and it's actually in the advantage for the Trump administration to fan this right now, because what you're seeing is you're sort of forcing them to go now with a lot of assets, energy, coordination that they were going to wait to use for the midterm. So it's like, force it now. Make them Leroy Jenkins it now. They don't want this. And I think that's what it is.
That was the point I was getting to. Thank you, Tommy.
Push the afterburner.
You have to push the pawn. Like there's a point where, I don't care if it's a chess game or a Go game or whatever, you have to, when you're not sure what to do next, I've heard from chess guys, like, you play speed chess, they're like, push the pawn.
Yeah, you can't
push the pawn forward, get in their face, do something, make them react. Push the pawn. Not sure what to do, push the pawn. And that's what they're doing in Minnesota. Minnesota's on a pawn. The goal is to get the queen, and the queen is Gavin Newsom.
Well, we started with oil, and I don't know.
We're going to end with oil.
We're going to end with oil. So I don't know. We're somewhat close to it, but gentlemen, coming up on an hour.
This is and this is all really good. I most thoroughly enjoy this, Tom. It's great to meet you, talk with you, and it's all the way this is all tying together.
Yeah,
people don't know. In California, right? Minnesota's going through it. Trump's pushing it, but California is they've already seen a lot of pain. I already went through all this, the rail, the Palisades, all that crap. But California is right now on the precipice. Like I said, the point of no return. California needs that intervention. Finally getting some of it on the crude side. It's like, I think it probably got his attention too, like the president's attention, when you had the USC professor and two professors from Berkeley coming together on a brief about oil production and distribution of the refineries. And at the end, they concluded that federal intervention is required. So when you have two of the most liberal colleges in the country, three professors from them coming together and saying, hey, we need federal intervention now. This is beyond. It's beyond.
Yeah, that's telling.
We need fucking help. That's telling, to me. So, we're just California's in a real bad way. I hope, like we have been talking about, that is going to happen. Not just the crude side. We need the refineries. We need that intervention, and we need it now.
Yeah, we really do. Yeah. No, I agree, and I think the next 60 to 90 days are going to be very telling about what gets done here. I expect Trump to continue to accelerate the pace. Like last week, he was snatching Maduro. 2 weeks ago, he snatched Maduro. Now
the Iranians. That was such a brilliant operation. Those nuke, the decoy there where they sent two of the B-2s towards Guam. They're going. Yeah. And I was telling a friend, I go, those aren't the planes. What do you mean? I go, they don't have to go there to refuel. I said, and I actually said back then, I said, the actual planes going to bomb those nuke sites could be on their way right now. And as it turns out, they were. So our president sees he sees what's been going on, all the things in the background, all the money being taken, stolen, all the deaths, like you said, the fentanyl deaths, all the people being murdered, and sees what needs to be done. And he's taking the action. He's taking bold action that, none of these presidents for a long, long time have had even have begun to have the courage to do what the hell needs to get done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
God bless
Agreed.
him. We'll have you guys connected on email, but now you guys have spoken. Thank you both of you so much for your time. That was awesome. It worked out perfectly. And I think you guys got along swimmingly. So leave you two to connect on email, and happy to do it again sometime. But gentlemen, thank you both so much for your time. I will upload this episode immediately after, send it to you guys, and you guys have a wonderful Sunday.
Okay, Tommy. Tom, take care of yourself.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Hey guys, real quick, you guys know Basil Baz, ARC, the Association for the Recovery of Children. I just did a fundraiser with them the other day, and I'm going to put this on to every episode I do. They are special forces veterans who physically rescue trafficked children. They have since 1993. They have a 100% success rate. They do not take salaries. They all have day jobs, and they literally rescue sex trafficked children. Donations to them are a tax write-off. I get nothing from them, and they have not asked me to put this on. I've included this little clip on episodes for the last year or so, and I'm just re-recording it because I just got to meet him just 2 days ago for future. It's November 25th, 2025, but this will be on every episode now for the next year. And there is nothing better you can do with your money. Um, if you can support them for even $5, please do that. It is, they truly are doing the Lord's work, and I think we all have an obligation to do that. Thank you so much.
Higher ultraviolet exposure is associated with lower mortality. The United Kingdom is a high latitude and low sunlight country. Researchers there collected data on over 360,000 participants in a study of UV exposure via solarium use. When compared with non-users, solarium users had 15% risk lowered of all-cause mortality, 23% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality, 14% lower risk of cancer mortality, and a 12% lower risk of non-cardiovascular, non-cancer mortality. In other words, all other causes. Quoting the researchers, our study adds to the growing evidence that the benefits of UV exposure outweigh the risks in low sunlight environments. A link to the original publication is available in the box below the video. Get some UV light this winter. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of the blue. Visit a Blue Room soon. www.blueroom.com.
Hey guys, a huge sponsor of the show is Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food. Clayton lives down in Georgia. He's been on the show before. It's actually nearby where I went to college. They are a huge sponsor of the show. They give me some money every month, even when I don't sell enough to warrant that paycheck. Meaning that the show is not free. It's just that it's free for you. If you guys need prepper food, or if you're just interested in supporting the show, I'd please ask you to go to the link in the description. Go to Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, promo code TPC for 10% off. 72 servings per pail, 25-year shelf life. These things are, they double as dumbbells. Pasta Primavera, cheesy potato soup, mac and cheese, loaded baked potato casserole, chili mac, cheddar broccoli soup, cheesy lasagna, teriyaki rice. You can get banana chips. There's also raspberries, strawberries, and apples. There's a bunch of freeze-dried fruit, or you can even get seeds to plant your own garden. It's not a bad thing to have. It's like gold or ammunition. It's a good thing to have. It's a bad thing if you have to use it, but it's good. It's good to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. So that's what I'd say. And if you just want to support the show, please go to the link in the description. Please go support them because they support me. Thank you so much, guys.